Are you in debt? Does it seem like every time you get paid, does it seem like your paycheck disappear? Well, today in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips that you can use that will help you get out of debt. So I want you to make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I want to help you take control over your finances. Well, the reason why your paycheck may disappear is because you may have a lot of debt. So it's so important that if we want to get out of debt, we first have to know how much money do we have coming in each month. So the way that you do this is that go over the last month's paycheck each week or every 2 weeks when you get paid. Print out all of your paychecks, and then you want to write down on a piece of paper all of your debt. So you may have more money going out than you have coming in. So if you have more money going out than coming in, that means that you have a lot of debt and you need to come up with a way that you can bring in more income. So you need to try to figure out by looking at all of your debt, you want to see what things can I cut off. You want to print out your bank statement and you want to go through your bank statement and you want to look at the last 30 days, see what you have spent your money on. Because your bank statement is going to tell you the truth. So if you look at your bank statement and you notice that you have been eating out a lot, this is a sign to you that, hey, maybe I need to cook at home, take my lunch to work instead of eating out. And then also, you want to do this first step because if you're tired or struggling financially, we have to get to the root of what's causing us to struggle financially. And also, if you have any credit card debt, it's so important that you print off your credit card statement each month. This is what I actually did. I know that everyone is busy, but some people, they don't even realize what their credit card statement is. Their credit card statement says, and they don't even know what their credit card interest rate is. That you know that a credit card company, it can raise your interest rate. Yes, I had it happen to me before. So that's why it's so important to look at your credit card statement, look and see what is your interest rate that you're paying. If you have a credit card that's 20% interest rate, that's a lot of money to be paying on a credit card. So you want to write down all of your credit cards. You want to write down the lowest interest rate to the highest interest rate. What I recommend is paying off the credit card with the highest interest rate first, because once you do this, you can take that money and start paying on the next credit card. Because I did this, I printed out my credit card statement and I looked at it and I saw that I had a very high um, credit card interest rate. And I was looking, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just giving away so much money to these credit card company. I could use this money to retire, fix up my house, invest, self care. Remember, yes, self care is so important. You know, getting your nails, done. And you can do self care on a budget because, we need self care because debt, it can cause people to have high blood pressure. It can cause people not to sleep. It could cause people to have strokes. So that's why it's my mission is to help as many people as I can get out of debt because debt affects your mental health and it affects your physical health. So I offer one-on-one consultations. I would love to work with you. Just click the link in the description. And the good thing about working with me is that you'll be able to get in touch with me anytime you want to. I'll walk you step by step through your journey to get debt free. And we can come up with a way of how you can get out of debt and take control of your future. So some people, they might have enough money coming in, but they just have a lot of debt. So once they clear out that debt, they'll they'll be able to save more money. And then some people on the other hand, they may they may not have enough money coming in, but they don't have any debt. So we just have to figure out, where are we at financially? And, we have to make a decision that, I'm ready to get out of debt. I am, ready to stop struggling financially. And then also, we have to change our mindset if we want to get out of debt. We have to think positive, think, this is only temporary. And then also, we need to set up a budget. We have to constantly watch where our money is going. So before you go out to eat, you have to set up a budget. I mean, you can still treat yourself, but before you go, you need to set up a budget. Okay, I'm not going to look at your finances before you go and set a budget. For example, I'm not going to spend over this amount money because you can still, go out, but you'll just have to go out on a budget. You may not, you just want to watch what you spend. And then also, you have to let everybody around you know that you are on a budget. I don't care if it's your spouse, your kids, any family members, you have to want to get yourself out of debt because, when we get in debt, it's easy to get in debt, but at the end, who's going to help us get out of debt? Nobody. We're going to be on our own getting out of debt. So that's why it's so important that, we have a budget if we want to get out of debt. And you have to tell your money where to go. Every And also, you need to track your expenses. Every single thing that you spend your money on, you need to track it. I have a budget journal and I track all of my expenses and little things like going to the gas station, um, buying a Coke. That adds up when you can go to a Sam Club and you can buy like a whole case of drinks for the price of what you'll pay, when you keep going to the gas station over and over and over. So, on your debt free journey, you're just going to have to learn how to cut back on things, how to, save money. Um, you may, you have to sacrifice, but it's only temporary that you have to sacrifice, if you want to see a difference. Because, like I was saying, once you get out of debt, you want to stay out of debt. So that's why I said that, you need to budget. You need to have a budget journal. You need to set boundaries. You need to think positive. You can't tell people, when people try to get you to spend money that you don't have, you have to tell them, hey, I'm on a budget. You have to set boundaries. So, if you're ready to get out of debt, I am here to help you, but I am here to encourage you that you can get out of debt. But it's just so amazing when you sit down and you look over your finances, what this will do. Because I know that, we're all busy, but you have to make time to look over your finance. If you have a spouse, you guys can look at your finances together. If you're single, you can look at your finances, um, and see where am financially. And remember, everybody's journey is different. So you always don't have to, explain yourself to other people. You have to stay focused when you're paying down debt, because you're going to have people that's going to come into your life that may, try to discourage you, saying, credit doesn't matter. But yes, credit does matter. We just don't want to give our monies to the bank if we don't, you know, I understand, life isn't perfect, but why give away money, paying money and high interest rate if we don't have to, when we can take that money and keep it in our account? We can invest, we can take care of our home as business owners. Um, we can invest with that money. So if you're, looking to get out of debt, just stay positive and just message me for more information. But the first step is getting to the root of it and figure out, why am I in debt? And then after that, come up with a plan. It won't happen overnight. You may need to bring in extra income, and you may need to cut a lot of stuff out. But we have to sacrifice if we want to see a change. You may have to sacrifice temporary, but I promise you it'll be worth it. You'll just feel so much free once you have all of that debt paid. So message me for more information, but stay positive. And I would love if you would hit that subscribe button, so I could help as many people as I can get out of debt, because money, it really does matter. When we have money, it gives us options. So hit that like button, and please hit that subscribe button. I am trying to grow my channel so I can help as many people as always. But stay positive.